This video is on mason bees for a Girl Scout Gold Award project. Mason bees are a type of solitary bee that are not nearly as popular as many of their other counterparts. To avoid any confusion, the term mason bee refers to an entire genus of bees, specifically the genus Ocima. Many mason bee species are native to North America, with there being approximately 139 species in the United States alone. Most bees in the genus have the same basic needs. So keep in mind that while the information I'll provide will generally fit most of the mason bee species, there will be exceptions to the rules, and there will be a great amount of variety within the species. To further elaborate on this idea, here's an example of two different species of mason bees, the red mason bees, seen on the left, and the blue orchid mason bee, seen on the right, which, at least physically, are very different from one another, showing the amount of variety that can be present in the genus. Another common misconception about mason bees is that they are not like honeybees. Honeybees are the first thing that come to people's mind when they hear about bees, yet they don't stand for all bees and they are not exactly the same. And there are many misconceptions about mason bees that come because of honeybees. For starters, while honeybees live in hives and have a queen to protect, mason bees, like most solitary bees, do not. Mason bees live in individual nests and do not have a queen. Mason bees' nests are deep holes, and they use mud to line the inside of their nest and then plug them up while they are dormant. They spend most of their lives dormant in their nests, coming out only for a short period to mate, collect pollen, lay eggs, then die. One of the more undesirable features about honeybees is that they can sting and swarm a person, causing a lot of pain and potentially even causing anaphylactic shock. Honeybee stings because of their need to defend their hive. Mason bees, on the other hand, don't have a hive to defend since they are solitary bees and do not have a queen. This means that mason bees are far less likely to sting or attack than honeybees because they have nothing to defend and no need to act aggressive. On top of being less aggressive, their venom is also far less potent as well, with some describing it feeling more like a mosquito bite than a honeybee sting, which makes supporting mason bees far less of a risk than honeybees. They also differ greatly in terms of pollination, with mason bees having a 95 to 99% pollination rate, while honeybees on average only have a 5% pollination rate. This is because honeybees have their pollen stuck more closely to them, while mason bees have it more loose. Mason bees also use up their entire body to carry the pollen. Another benefit of mason bees is that they don't make honey, which means that they will also pollinate low-sugar plants, which honeybees might ignore, leading to them pollinating a wider variety of plants than honeybees. Mason bees have a range of about only 300 feet, while honeybees have a range of around 4,500 feet, which makes honeybees far more effective for things such as agriculture. One of the significant things about honeybees is that they are not native to the USA, and they are therefore an invasive species. They were brought over with colonizers to help with agriculture and creating honey. Because they are invasive species, they compete with native pollinators for resources, and they can also lead to native species dying out because of this competition, causing a loss in biodiversity. Another problem with honeybees being invasive is that they can also pollinate other invasive plants, causing further harm to ecosystems. Because mason bees are native to North America, they pollinate many different native plant species. This is important because it helps support local ecosystems, and because they are evolved to handle native plant species, they also tend to avoid invasive plant species, which helps ecosystems thrive. It should also be noted that since mason bees consist of many different species, they might specialize in different plant species. For example, the blue orchid mason bees specializes in the Rosascae family, which includes things like strawberries and raspberries. Here on the screen we have some examples of other plant species that mason bees might pollinate, such as elderberries, apple trees, mints, clover, and blueberries. Despite all the wonderful things that mason bees do, their populations are currently declining. This could be due to several different factors, such as habitat loss, pesticide use, and the introduction of invasive species. In order to help mason bees, you can help by setting up homes for them. There are many different methods to making nests and many different websites that help support mason bees. And this helps mason bees because it gives them a safe place to raise their young and lay their eggs. In order to raise mason bees, they will need a source of water, a source of mud, and plants to pollinate, but other than that, they are relatively easy to raise and take care of. So if you're interested in supporting mason bees, try looking into building a home